Look at that. Grin on his face, day 3, still smiling. Okay, day 3 in the valley, and we are motoring. We had 5 days to drive something like 3,300 kilometers, so it's like 35 hours of driving we've done in 5 days. And then we got about 350 meters roughly of fence that we built. I think the landowner was a little surprised when he saw the fence coming together yesterday and kind of how we built things.
He even made a comment. He thought it might look a little institutionalized, but then after we strung some of the wire and he saw that from a distance, you really can't even see it. He was very happy with how the spacing is, so it's easy for him to mow around, and
Yeah.
he had it all set up for us when we arrived. It was all done.
That almost never happens. In fact, I don't think I've been on a single job where a fence line has been prepped to the level we need it when we arrive. It normally the first day is just doing fence line preparation. I think what we're hoping for is kind of a really visible example of how you ought to be building these systems. People in the valley, they know bears really well. They've lived with bears their whole life, and even then, some of the things we've been talking about and saying kind of surprise people on bear behavior and understanding how strong they are, how acrobatic they are, how smart they are, how bears will interact with a fence, I think does take people a little by surprise. There's a lot of unfenced attractants here. Bears, right, it's survival. They're gonna go for the easiest food they possibly can. If that food is scarce, you start getting a lot more pressure on the food that is protected. Oh, man, I'll tell you, crimping ain't easy. So we're really moving fairly quick on the board fence. We've already got it all strung up. We're gonna cover this with wood as well. Bears, they're attracted, they're gonna find weak points in your fence, anything that looks a little different. A good example of that also is this corner here. So you can see the fence actually changes elevation a little bit. And so our wires too, we're going down again to maintain that same height from the bottom. Really just remove any incentive for a bear to want to dig. And with that, you can see too is that our wire here, an insulator facing up here, we're going to go down, insulator facing down. That's just to make sure we're resisting that tension of the wire and keeping it exactly where we want the wire to be. Conrad, what do we got going on over here?
We're working on this gate, and we're just trying to make it so that when they're using this chain that they have here, there's no chance of them getting shorted or shocked
As they go around and try to reach for the chain, so making it a little bit more user friendly. And yep.
We are just buttoning up the fence. One of the last things we do is grounding. What I've got here is a ground plate. It's quite a lot of steel. Grounding is all about steel in soil. That's what the name of the game is. You know, use proper grounding material. We use this. Metal has to bite metal. We want to use items that are designed for this purpose. We've put days of work in. You're spending money on wire, on insulators, on energizers, and all that work really is for naught if you don't have good grounding. So one of the most critical stages of fence building for sure.
I brought snacks.
Oh man, keep going. Okay. Oh, that's good. Moment of truth. I'm just gonna do a test plug-in for the garden fence.
This is faulty.
Sounds like we got a short.
So we just plugged in the Energizer and we noticed that we have a fault. So we're using our fault finder here. And when you click it on, you can tell that the voltage is extremely low and it's telling us the direction of our fault. So we're going to keep going on and we'll hopefully find that fault easily. Still showing to the right. Nothing past that. Ah, that's what it is. Right here. This is actually our negative here. This one. And this is a positive wire.
Should have been, yep.
And we've connected it incorrectly, so we'll just adjust that and then we're hopefully good to go.
We've connected it incorrectly?
Yeah, I did this time. That's the first time ever actually. Makes a point of paying attention to details, especially at the final stages. So yeah.
And looks like I got my beer paid for.
Sherry. Good luck in that way.
Measuring voltage is great. One of the ways, it's really easy to see voltage. So we just are going to take an insulated piece of wire. I'm going to put it on the hot wire and I'm just going to bring it close. And we want to just see that it arcs. You know, if that spark looks like it's going to hurt, it's nice and bright blue and visible and it arcs from, you know, maybe half an inch away or a couple millimeters away, that's good. Oh, that is hot. Yeah. The first beer that touches that is going to be in for a
Real surprise.
yeah, he's going to be taken off up valley.
We better get some labels on the fence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. This is one of my favorite parts of a fence job. It's putting on warning signs. And the reason it's my favorite is it's the last thing we do and we are finished. Fence is live, everything's up and running, fully tensioned, things look great. Landowners are happy, we're happy. Time to head home. We don't want any sections where all of a sudden the wire goes from here to that much space in between. That's always where a bear is going to go through it. Same thing on the ground. Anywhere that there's not level ground, any dips, you can bet your money that's where a bear will exploit.
Some could have did with small.
Same as animal, nothing really. It hurts a bunch and that's it. Essentially any mammal, it's totally fine on. It hurts, it's not a fun experience, and that's the goal. But beyond that, you know, that's it. A lot of people ask, well, what about my kid? What about my dog? I mean, obviously put warning signs out. Don't make it all, you know, it's hard for people to see and not aware. It's an electric fence. I was on a fence job with my dad as a small kid. And yeah, I shocked myself and I haven't shocked myself since. And that's kind of the standard. You know,
Once is enough.
pretty much. I mean, that's the same result we want out of a bear too. Like the ideal world is the bear gets shocked. I don't want any part of that. I'm gone. I'm just going to go wait a couple more weeks for some salmon. This is a property I visited last year, and it was really concerning. A grizzly bear had figured out how to beat the fence, but I figure it was probably a sow. I'm worried that she was using this fence as a way to kind of have safe shelter from other bears that hadn't figured it out. So this is bedding zones for sure. Yeah, you can clearly see. And basically, this is kind of a nightmare scenario in lots of ways, because if we start teaching bears how to beat fences, we teach them how to challenge it. I think it's probably time to get out of here. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Let's turn around.
Yeah. We've taught a sow, probably,
And a generation of cubs.
how to beat it. And yeah, Conrad said that in a generation of cubs. So this is quite concerning. And this is one of the reasons why we want to be involved here and why we've been putting a lot of work and our time and effort. This is an example of what we're worried about and what we're kind of working here to try and show some support and provide some better examples. Let's get the heck out of here.
Heading home. Yeah, fence looks really good. Like aesthetically, it's very pleasing to the eye. Like not overly noticeable, which is good.
And the first bear that hits that's going to get knocked right on flat on their ass. We're not trying to be sadistic here or cruel, but we want it to hurt. We want the message to be, this isn't a fun place to be. go eat some salmons or berries. What did you think of Bella Coola?
It was pretty eye-opening because, like, it's one thing to hear about the location and to hear about the bear issues and everything else, but to go there and see kind of the remoteness as well as the valley itself and how, like, condensed it is.
It's a big valley, but it's tight.
You know, it's super nutrient rich, though. Like, that's very evident. Like, there's just fruit trees everywhere, like all through the ditches. They're in people's yards. They're all over the place.
The landowner he was telling us about are trying to build food security in a pretty remote valley that has freeways in, plain boat or one road, and all of them are pretty vulnerable to weather, so it's a good thing to have food there. But these big coastal grizzly bears in particular, they'll eat a ton. They cause a ton of dollar damage. This area, Bella Coola in particular, it's human grizzly bear conflict that's kind of the star of it. So it was kind of rewarding that we spent a lot of worked really hard to make it happen, and to get a good little viewing with the salad cup was, cherry on top of the whole job. I'm sure we'll be back